Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the latest episode of the Chosen Life podcast. I am your host, The Chosen Lawyer, and today we have a treat for you. We have located a star in the world of sports and business. Not an easy man to get a hold of, but we found him. The living legend himself, Mr. Dan Milstein of Gold Star Hockey. Dan, welcome to the Chosen Life.
Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for having me on.
A pleasure, my friend. We connected several years ago, and it's amazing to watch your progression. You're getting bigger and bigger in the world of sports and looking younger and younger, yet I'm looking older and older. What's the secret, Dan?
Plastic surgeries. But no, in reality, all jokes aside, as you may know, I'm in many different businesses. I produce films, write books. Gold Star Mortgage Financial Group, the company I own, I have 49 offices from Florida all the way to Hawaii. In my former life, I was ranked #1 banker out of 550,000 people. The reason I'm in a sports agency business is to stay young, to be connected to younger generations, to kids. And so they keep me on my toes and they keep me young.
I love it. I love it. And we're going to get into some of those businesses later on because you do wear very many different hats. And it's amazing. As I bring different people on to Chosen Life, there's a constant theme. People that you would think are so busy, have no time for anything, yet they're in so many different arenas and they're doing it. So this should be inspiring others to strive for their greatness. I remember, my friend, when I was in law school and they had the sports and entertainment class, and everybody dreamt of being you. And very few, if any, ever get to make it into the sports agency business, let alone be successful. For the people listening, starting off on our first topic, tell us, Mr. Dan Milstein, how did Gold Star come to be, and how did you build the empire that it is today?
I came to the United States from the former Soviet Union. I was born in Kiev. I survived Chernobyl when I was 10 years old. That was April 26th of 1986. I was 10 years old, peacefully sleeping in Kiev when the Chernobyl blew up. I was evacuated, lived 4 months elsewhere, came back, lived for 4 additional years. And as a political refugee, I was able to escape the Soviet Union on the last day of its existence. Just like in the movie Terminal with Tom Hanks, we boarded the plane in the middle of the night in the Soviet Union. When the plane touched down in Detroit, the Soviet Union was no longer on the map. We weren't allowed to bring anything, so I had 1 suitcase, and a friend of mine at the airport gave me 17 cents, something that he had, and I hid in the sock, and so I brought 17 cents. So I started out with nothing, went through food stamps, projects, done it all. I was 16 years old, so I went to high school in Ann Arbor. But 6 months in, I walked into McDonald's. I've heard of McDonald's, but I've never been to McDonald's. And I asked for an application, and I was fortunate, and I say fortunate, to get a job at McDonald's. For most, working at McDonald's is beneath their dignity. I called it an opportunity to be somebody someday. Every job I have had, including working at McDonald's, I took full pride in it. So I worked from 5 o'clock in the morning until 8. Then I rushed to high school, and then I came back and finished my shift. So between work and school, I was basically up 22 hours every single day. A year later, there was a McDonald's All-American competition. And the deal was whoever won the competition got to go into the management training program. It was competition, everything about the restaurant, cooking times, holding times, contents of oil, and so on. So I won the competition, and before graduating high school, I was a manager at McDonald's.
Not an easy feat. And I know many people that have applied for jobs at McDonald's and did not receive them. And, it's amazing the way you put it. People saying it's beneath them, I want it now. I don't have the experience, I don't have the knowledge, but I want it now. You were very humble, and that humbleness has continued throughout your career, I take it.
Jonathan, I didn't stop obviously at McDonald's. While working at McDonald's, I was doing all kinds of other stuff. I changed tires. I can change an engine on your car. I can work on. I can do landscaping. I've delivered newspaper stuff. So I've done it all. While in college, second year, I was 19 years old. I was taking a connecting bus in downtown of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and there was a big, beautiful building where well-dressed men and women would go in and out every day. So one day I missed a bus connection, and so I walked in wearing a t-shirt, flip-flops, and shorts, and to this place and asked for an application. To this day, I have no idea why they gave me a chance. It was the bank. So I went to the Salvation Army, and $2 later, I was a proud owner of a suit and a tie. And so I was a banker at last. So that's how my banking career began. Fast
Sometimes,
forward.
yes, yes. I was saying sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, they say. But as long as you have that drive, the knowledge will come with time, right?
Absolutely. And so I had no idea what the hell I was going to do at the bank. But before I turned 21, I was one of the youngest general managers. I mean, I fell in love with it. I was like a sponge, and I've been unemployed ever since. You know what they say is, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day. So it's one of those things. So in 1999, I was flying to Connecticut from Detroit, and somehow I ended up getting a banker magazine. And so I was 24 years old, and I was looking to leave and start a mortgage company. So I rented a space in a closet. I rented a space that was used as a closet by an insurance company, and put one desk. Put up the very first walls at Gold Star were put with my own hands. And so I was flying to Connecticut, and I ended up getting this mortgage or banker magazine. And every April, they feature top 200 out of 550,000 people. Jonathan, I looked at this list and I said, someday I'm going to be number one. And when I do become number one, I'm going to write a book how I did it. You should have your dreams so high that you feel embarrassed telling your friends about it. It was one of those moments.
The art of manifestation, they call it.
Exactly. So from there on, I was ranked number 20, number 18, number 13, number 4, en route to, obviously, the financial meltdown takes place in 2008. 64% of my banks nationally and over 80% of mortgage companies have gone under. We predicted the financial meltdown many years prior to that. Now, I'd be lying if I said I knew how badly things would get, because we didn't, but we were prepared for it. Just like the Jenny boat in the Forrest Gump movie. Remember the shrimping boat, the only boat that survived. And so our revenues have gone up over 400% year after year. We've made the Inc. 500 as one of the top companies in the United States. And so we've been opening offices, acquiring offices, taking over people, and it was good times. But I was still continuing to work towards my goal, my dream to becoming number one. So I'm in my office conducting a business or meeting, and I'm one of those people. I always answer the phone, no matter who or where. I always answer the phone, and my clients can always count on me 24/7. So I pick up the phone. This is 2009, and the editor from the magazine is on. He wants to interview me, but so I step out of my office, and I give him a quick interview. And in the end, he goes like, "Hey, don't you want to know what this interview is for?" And in my mind, I'm like, well, this is a financial meltdown. Everybody's calling me every single day. Everybody wants to get a quote of some sort. But I was like, okay, tell me. It goes like, the issue's coming out next month, and you are going to be ranked. You are ranked number one out of 550,000 people. So, I went back to my office. I didn't tell anybody that I just received this phone call.
Yes.
I finished conducting the meeting. And when everybody left, I closed my eyes, gave my pat in the back, and I looked at the bucket list. And the next thing was I had to write a book, how I did it.
Did you cry? Did you laugh? Like, what was the emotion going through your body at that point?
Here's the thing. It is very easy to get to the top, or at least for me in any field, but it is extremely difficult to stay there. How many people you know that have gotten to the top but fallen off even quicker? And so to me, it was like you envision, you have a dream, you work towards your dream for many, many years. And to me, it's as soon as you hear you made it, okay, you got to go to the next thing. You cannot be the smartest guy in the room. You should always be looking for, to continue going up and up. So the day I acknowledge that I'm successful, because you see, I'm not successful. There's a different definition of being a successful. So in my book, my 4th book, rule number 1, don't be number 2. There's a quote that I live by every day, and it's success is never owned. It is rented, and the rent is due every day. I haven't called in sick since 1998, Jonathan. Dead or alive, I wake up, I look in the mirror, and I go and pay my rent each and every day. And so That just like that day when I finally going, chasing my dream for well over 10 years. At that time, I was over about 15 years or so in the banking world. To me, it was like, okay, what's next? And the next is that you need to figure out how I'm going to stay on this list for the next year. And this is the time when obviously, my competition has gone out of business. I've saved, I did not lay off a single employee. The Gold Star for the first Gold Star mortgage at the time makes the top workplaces in the United States for a second consecutive year. And then finally, I am achieving my own dream. Many people would say, well, you just made it. Well, like I said, the day I acknowledge that I made it is the day when I'm going to take all of the awards out of my office, move them into my basement, and start telling people about the good old days. So
I was going to say that most people in your position there would never even dream of achieving that level in banking, and they would have been more than satisfied to reach an epitome of something that they thought is unreachable, and they would have stopped. But for you, that was just the beginning, which blows my brain, and then how it grew from there.
And it's not been about the money for many years, because even at the time, being 25, under 30 years old, what I was making a week or a month is more than most people would make in their lifetime. But to me, it wasn't about that. It was about positively touching other lives. And so the American dream isn't about me being more and bigger. It's about taking other guys and then helping them to achieve their own American dream. And I'll tell you a story about a young kid later who's now running the mortgage company for me. He's got a very inspiring. His story should inspire probably more people than my own story. How he got there. But so I wrote the book. I wasn't going to write a second or a third book or a fourth book. And so the first book, the name is always the most difficult part of writing a book, is the name. So you write this book for 2 or 3 years trying to figure out what the name's going to be. And so in the end, the book is called The ABC of Sales, Lessons from a Superstar. The ABC stands for Always Be Closing. That's my middle name as a closer. And then second part of the book is how a Russian immigrant with 17 cents in a pocket became one of the top mortgage bankers of all times. And so the first 3 chapters is my story. Middle of the book is all about the sales, including chapter 5, which is called Lunches for Losers. I never leave my office for lunch. And then the end of the book is how I built the company to that point, which was about 2010, 2011. And so as I finished writing the book and I sent it in for editing, I felt I wasn't going to do a second book, but at the time I felt that I didn't tell enough of a story. And enough of the story was, how do you get to the top and how do you stay there? So I started working on a second book. But fortunately or unfortunately for me at the time, I did a 55 cities TV and radio tour, and nobody really cared about number one mortgage banker. Everybody wanted the poor Russian Soviet refugee story. So I put that book aside and I gave him my second book, which is also a bestseller, known as 17 Cents and a Dream. That is my personal story, tied to Kiev, tied to Ukraine, tied to growing up en route to becoming one of the top bankers of all times, and then raising my daughter. And so after that, I came back and I finished the Street Smart Selling. And after that, my fourth book is called Rule Number 1, Don't Be Number 2. Obviously, I'm better known for the name, and so the name is extremely important. My fifth book is almost done. All of my books, I write them in English, but the fifth book I decided to write it in Russian, and I'll translate it to English later. So the name of the book, unless it change, is the big game on the opposite side of the dream. So because the sport is or business, anything is a big game, but the opposite side of the dream, very few people end up making it to the opposite side of the dream. So there are about 1.7 million people playing hockey, but yet only 700, 800 of them are achieving their childhood dream, and handful of them achieve a dream of raising the Stanley Cup above their head. So and so that's my fifth book that's coming out. Also, I'm the executive producer. The film that won 5 movie festival awards now is under attack because the name of the film is The Russian Five. It's about the 5 Russians, the enemies, coming to America, becoming their friends, and 42 years later, helping the Detroit Red Wings win the Stanley Cup. And now, because of the name, because the Russian Five were under attack, but that's temporarily.
Another story, yes.
We'll get through it as well.
It feels like you're taking the principles of sales and marketing and you're applying it to all your different brands. You know, people hear Gold Star Hockey. If they don't know different, they see you on all the TV outlets, they read you in magazines, and they're saying hockey agent, hockey agent. But Gold Star is a brand across many different businesses. And what you're doing in mortgages to what you're doing in your hockey agency, it's applying the same principles as far as client service, as far as sales. It feels like it's cutting through banking to where you are today, correct?
You know what, the secret, many people ask me, how can you do this? Well, how do you have time? Lack of time is actually lack of priorities. Just get that straight. Lack of time is lack of priorities. That's number one. Always answer the phone, no matter where or how. Always answer the phone. And so the key to your success is that I used to have a stick on my phone that says, answer me, I make you money. But it's, as I was negotiating Nikita Zaitsev's contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs, Lou Lamoriello at the time was the general manager. He basically, we had a conversation and then he goes like, hey, Dan, what is it that one thing that everybody wants? And how can you sum up everything in one word that everybody needs, everybody wants? And I said, Lou, what is it? It goes like, and then I'm going to tell you, and this is going to get stuck to your head for forever, hopefully. And the word is feelings. Feelings. If I'm talking to you, if I give you time, if you text me and I answer to you, even if I say, hey, I'm busy, I'll call you back, or you talk to somebody, in the end, it's about, we want to feel good. And, when you text somebody and then they don't respond for days, or, you're on the team and you don't know if you're going to, you read in the newspaper, that somebody trash talking about how you've had a bad game or how you're going to get traded or whatever the deal is. Right. So it's about feelings, and Kyle Dubas has done a great job communicating with his players, with agents and stuff like that too, about, that's why I don't get worked up about rumors that I'm reading from the so-called couch experts in many marketplaces, because we know where things are at any given time. And so if you just put feelings at front of anything, you will be extremely successful.
You and Lou Morello, it's interesting. You're both very prominent names in the world of hockey, but it's such different spectrums as far as how people perceive. I remember being at many years ago at a Sabres Devils hockey practice. They were playing out in Buffalo, and talking to a couple of the players in New Jersey. And I was a younger guy back then. And the fear they had for him, here are players making millions of dollars and they're like, Lou can't see me doing this. Lou can't see me doing that. Even back then he had that fear aspect. Whereas for you, Dan, everybody that touches you, everybody comes into contact with you. You read all your players' social media, you interact with them, you hear them. They have such a respect for you. It's not that they don't respect Lou, but they have this love for you. Like they see you as like a brother, a father, and you get this kind of aura about you. How do you attract people to you? What's your energy? Like, what is your secret for that?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Lou for a second.
Sure.
If I was talking to Lou right now on this Zoom and he's seen my facial hair, he would have stopped and made a comment about it.
Me too.
But all of that aside, look, you need to know how to talk. Treat the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. And so, if you just think about the feelings, if you treat others the way you personally want to be treated, you will win each and every time. I mean, you don't go to the general manager's office trying to demand the contract. You don't start coming in betting, swinging your bets and stuff like that too. It's got to make you put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And before getting into the negotiations, obviously we're on opposite polar sides, and we got to do what's right for the players, right for the clients, right for people. But for one of the 5 P's of marketing, one of them is a P. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and walk in them. And so what would somebody else would do in this particular case? What do they want? And then so you basically have a good positive conversation. And then same thing for your clients. If you communicate with them, if you explain both sides so that they're fully aware of how things are happening, you're going to get ahead. I mean, look, even with Ilya Mikheyev, we filed for an arbitration. Did we think it was going to get to the arbitration? No, we just needed more time, and both sides worked through. We just needed more time because Ilya was in such a unique case, because usually, he's only had because of the injury, only 28 games under his belt, but he wasn't one of those call-up players, and he had his own things that we just needed more time to work it out. And so, but reading the media, there's a conversation about us throwing darts at each other and stuff like that too. It doesn't necessarily work that way. Yes, sometimes you get very upset for a quick hot second, but in the negotiations, but in the end, you do what's right for your client, and you find a common sense, common grounds to make the deals work. And so that's exactly what we've done with many of our clients over the years. I mean, I'll tell you one thing about Nikita Kucherov. You would say he signed a year before his contract expired a $76 million extension that pays him, and you could say only $9.5 million. But when he won the Stanley Cup, and when I got on the ice and with the hug, he said, I won the Stanley Cup. Yes, I could have made more money, but because I left some money available for the team, they were able to bring the third line, and a third line made a difference. And that's why we won the Stanley Cup. So he acknowledged that, along with the words that, that in the end, and if you have the right financial plan, and you clearly understand where you are in life and have people that you trust, including bankers and such, in the end, you'll never spend the money that you're making.
Oh, it's a question of, am I going to have 100 million or 150 million in the bank? But it's all going to be sitting there regardless for how many generations of that family.
It's growing. I mean, some of my clients have more money than now than they have earned while playing the sport, because of the market appreciation and whatever else they're doing, living, not spending a lot of money. But look at it this way: no one's gonna, 15 years from now, no one's gonna remember how much money you've made, but everybody's gonna remember how many Stanley Cup rings you have. And that is probably for those guys, that's the most important thing. Just think about it. When you're a 5-year-old kid, do you have a dream of making $100 million playing hockey, or do you have a dream of winning the Stanley Cup? And so with the proper financial plan, you never have to worry about it. And I'm not talking about playing cheap or giving up money, but at the same time, it's a two-way street. You don't want to end up being on the opposite side of being bought out, or people writing about you or saying things. And look, bottom line is, you'll never spend the money that you're going to make. You might as well go and help the team and win the Stanley Cup.
I love it. And I've seen it across all sports when a player is in their twilight years, and they'll sometimes take the league minimum. They don't care. They just want to get on that right team, and they want that opportunity, because what else did they play for? And I think there's a giant misconception out there as to what a sports agent is about. They think you're there for the sign the contract, $76 million, and you're off to the sunset. I know I've interacted with you on a professional level, and for your clients, I'm a lawyer, you're a sports agent. We're not that dissimilar as far as our roles. We become everything from priest, rabbi, therapist, best friend, financial advisor, leading them to the right people, involved in all aspects of their lives. We become that trusted counsel, the advocate. And that's what separates, I think, out the proper professionals from the hacks. And there's one thing I notice: you don't disappear. You're always there for your clients at every end, whether at the beginning of the contract signing, in the middle of the contract, whatever stage they're at, they know you're there for them.
Well, if you look at my Instagram, Dan Milstein 75, it looks like all I do is I celebrate the Stanley Cup every single year. And you know what I do? And to be fully clear and transparent here, yes, my clients, because I have so many clients on so many teams, my clients do happen to win the Stanley Cup every year. But all the jokes aside, that is truly less than half of 1% of what you do. But it's 24/7. It's whether during the Toronto Maple Leafs game, getting a message from Kyle, Mickey is injured but he's okay, or Mickey is sick, or right after the game, a client of yours from the juniors or from anywhere complains about the ice time or lack of the ice time, or somebody getting injured. But think about the parents. You're slamming into the boards, and then the mom and dad that are in Moscow or elsewhere in the world picking up the phone, calling, "Oh my God, what's going on? Can you please get in touch with somebody on the team? Is my son okay? He's not answering the calls." You get that all the time. To where in numerous cases, I found out that the wives of my clients are pregnant, either at the same time or before, even perhaps before my clients, because she's waiting until Valentine's Day because it's 2 weeks away. She wants to make a nice album with pictures of love and the ultrasound in the end, right? But to get to the ultrasound, you got to call the agent or somebody, be like, hey, who do I go? Who do I see? How does it work here in Canada or in the United States? Do we even have an insurance and stuff like that too? So, so we do those types of things to booking reservations at the restaurants, to flying parents, to my Amazon isn't working, or the UPS did not deliver the box, but how do I get my box in? I need it today, I don't need it tomorrow. Can I come back again? To from the littlest things to the most major things. Of course, we run the camps. Of course, we help. We have video coaches that basically provide you shifts, and we work with whether you're in the NHL or you're just a 15-year-old kid. We help you with video coaching, breaking your game, assisting, but at the same time, the work doesn't stop there. We work with the parents, we work with the spouses, we work with the girlfriends, and it never stops.
I say as a loyal time, I'm not in the law business. I'm in the make your life easy business. And it sounds like you're in that very same business. Your job is to make your clients' lives easy. You take all their stress, you take their problems, you're a solution bringer to them. And that's amazing. I think that's a big reason why they love you. And it shows through social media, and it shows through your roster. It's you said an immigrant with 17 cents and buys their first suit from the Salvation Army to building up Gold Star Hockey. Think about that. How many people dream of being a sports agent, let alone having a sports agency? So from mortgages, how did Gold Star Hockey come to be?
Well, people ask all the time,
Yeah.
We make movies, we write books, we have we have farms, bee farms, and we have the electric vehicle rentals, and we have all kinds of Gold Star used to be started with Gold Star Mortgage in the tiny closet that was used as a closet by its previous tenant to where we are today. 49 offices just in the United States, plus we have offices throughout the world as well. This goes back to the late 90s. So there was one kid who was told no 657 times. He was not selected in the draft when he was 18. He didn't get drafted when he was 19. He went back, he got drafted all the way in the back of the draft when he was 20 years old. He went 171st in the 6th round. This kid didn't even know he was drafted for some time until a friend of his comes to the locker room and says, hey, you were drafted in the NHL. The kid goes like, I don't believe you. The very next day, he brings a newspaper. The kid looks at it, goes like, yeah, I was drafted. 3 years later, this kid shows up to a training camp. That team had 13 out of 23 future Hall of Famers. He has like almost, and this is before the salary cap era, so he has like almost no chance of making the team. The famous and one of the best hockey coaches of all times sees him, tells him shortly thereafter that he's going to make the team, and somebody on the team gives him a business card. They said, call this guy. He speaks your language. He's a banker. You can trust him. We've used him. And at that time, I'm ranked number one in the state of Michigan, and I'm number 20 or so in the country. And so naturally, many athletes, celebrities are my clients. And so somebody basically told this kid my business card, said, hey, call him, you can trust him and stuff like that too. So this kid called me. I took care of his housing and finances, and then later we became friends. We became the best friends, and then eventually I became his agent too. And that kid's name is Pavel Datsyuk. Pavel Datsyuk. So
I was gonna say the number one. If you go on your website client list, he's number one on that list for a reason.
Pavel's number one on the Pavel is he is my best friend. I mean, obviously, there's not a day goes by that we don't talk. We talk every single day about various things. I've learned so much from him, and I hope that he has benefited from our relationship as well. And so I built the agency around one guy. So up until 2015, Pavel was the only client because I was building other businesses and doing other things. So to me, it was I just he was just one client, and I wanted that way. So from the littlest things to all the other things. So I'll never forget him standing in his underwear in the middle of the hotel room, rehearsing his the All-Star, the NHL awards acceptance speeches, that a speech that I would help him write, and then he would rehearse it on me. to the very last speech when he announced to the world that he was leaving the NHL as well. So I was there for his the birth of his two kids. He was there for the birth of my daughter, and so it's a friendship that grew into the business and everything else. But in 2015, Jonathan, I was when he told me he was leaving, I was stuck with the decision: do I continue staying in the sports agent business, or do I shut down and then go back to concentrating on all the other things? So I opened the floodgates, and there are a number of stories, but some of the clients, some of the high-end clients I got was because of I answered the phone.
You know,
That's
it's
the key. Answer the phone, and it's easy to say answer the phone, but very few people answer their phones. It is crazy.
100%.
But basic bottom line is that, if you will, I am the sports agent because of answer the phone when it rang numerous times. When the opportunity knocks, you got to open the door instead of questioning or saying, "Well, it's Saturday." So one of the first clients was Nikita Kucherov, 2016, the World Cup in Canada. The Russians, it's Friday night. Russians are out of the play. They lost to Canada, Toronto, and so they are on the bus going back to the hotel. Nikita Kucherov had, and at the time has no contract, so his agent was unable to took 8 months or so, and then couldn't get him a deal. So he calls me. I take the phone call at 10:32 p.m. on a Friday night, 10:32 p.m. He goes like, "Hey, two guys here on the team on the bus telling me I should call you. I need a contract." I call Steve Yzerman. He does not answer. He calls me back at 11:16 on a Friday night. I said, "Steve, I'm working with Nesterov." He goes like, I said, "I need to know, am I putting them on a plane back to Russia, or do you want to do business here?" Long story short, by midnight, shortly after midnight, I get two offers from Nikita for Nikita Nesterov. He accepts one of them. I meet my client. I buy him a ticket. I meet him 24 hours later in Steve Yzerman's office for the first time.
Amazing. And it's that persistence.
And so he called me, and he was going to call, he called another agent first who did not answer the phone.
Yes.
He called me. I answered the phone call on a Friday night. I get him. A few years later, he gets traded to a different team. Before he even gets to Montreal from Tampa, all of his stuff, his cars are moved, and and his house is packed and moved to Montreal. He shows up to a fully furnished apartment with everything in it. So I show up to a first game, and I watch, after the game, we'll go out to dinner. It's his very first game for the Montreal Canadiens. He FaceTimes Nikita Kucherov, who had just played the game himself, and he's laying on the couch. And then Nesterov goes with his phone and points at me, goes like, "Who's that?" Goes like, "That's my agent." And then he starts telling about me. Next thing you know, I'm on a plane to Tampa to sign Nikita Kucherov. And then so it's so if you just answer the phone, if you take care of the guys, they want, what, some of my clients, some of my high-end VIP clients, they get offended when somebody on the team says, "Well, I don't want to switch to Dan," or, "I'm good with my client." Goes like, dude, your agent hasn't called you in 3 weeks. You cannot even get a hold of him, and you're not going to switch to my guy who answers the phone. And then also there's a little jealousy because some of the guys don't want me to be representing other guys because they're afraid that the more clients I get, the lesser of attention I'm going to give them.
It's amazing. When I bring in young lawyers to my law firm, I teach them communication is so key. If it's phone calls, it's text messages, it's emails, it's messaging through social media. You got to be on that all the time. I tell them, if you're taking 24 hours, if you're taking a day, a week to respond back, they've already gone to somebody else. So the secret here is in the pudding. Clearly, if you're on top of communication, you got that word of mouth, it's going to happen. And I think to myself, when you're telling your story, if Pavel didn't take off for whatever reason, because you have to have experience, you have to have knowledge, but you also have to have some luck in this world, right? In order for things to hit. It's
not just,
Yeah.
Jonathan, it's
Yes.
not, once again, lack of time is actual lack of priorities. Everybody says, "Well, someday I want to do this." No, someday isn't a date on a calendar. Yes. There isn't a date that's called someday on the calendar. And so that if you want something, you got to go do it right now. And take a chance. If you don't, like Wayne Gretzky said, if you miss 100% of shots you don't take. And same thing with Pavel. You have to be a sponge. You have to learn. You have to pick things up, and you have to be opportunistic. And that's exactly what I did over time.
Another example of that, I remember seeing the headlines, and one of my favorite hockey players currently, and I wasn't surprised at all to see his story and how it developed, was Evander Kane. I think world-class talent. If you've ever met the man, seen interviews with the man, really, really nice, personable, and just very intense, you know. And when I saw he had signed with you, I said his career is gonna get there now. He's signed with the right guy. And people in Toronto be very, because I'm based in Toronto, you're based in Michigan. They would yell at me if I didn't ask, you know, why is he not playing in Toronto right now? But when I saw where you signed him, I said, oh boy, this is a match made in heaven. Tell us about the story from the time you got the phone call from Vander to where he is today.
So it's actually an interesting story that ties me to Toronto as well.
Yes.
I used to be in Toronto at least once or twice a month with the coronavirus and Americans not being able to cross the border.
Yes.
Things were a little bit more hectic and different. So in October, this past October of 2021, I am parking my car at Delta Hotel right across from the rink in downtown in the basement, and then I get a on my Twitter, I get a message from Evander saying, Dan, I'd like to talk to you about representation. Usually guys like that, you got to chase them. I mean,
Yes.
it takes 20 meetings and stuff like that too.
Sure.
So, and I'm parking my car to go see Ilya Mikheyev. So I basically, he goes like, what's your number? So I text him, I sent him my phone number saying, hey, I'm going to be busy. How about, call me right now and I'm available. And so he calls me. I said, hey, we chat for a quick second. I said, I'm about to step into a meeting. I'll call you as soon as I'm done. And so I met with Ilya Mikheyev. It was on a game day. He was just walking his dog. So he stopped by the hotel. We chatted for a few minutes. I went back upstairs and then I called the vendor. And my first question was like, how many other agents have you called? Goes like, nobody. Goes like, I've been watching you and you're exactly what I need. It's funny because about when a few years prior to that, when his issues came about publicly, at the time we were just joking, and I said if he was our client, none of this would have gone down on my watch. There's like absolutely no chance, because we handle all of that. We sit down with clients, we watch each and every thing. And as a matter of fact, I have a story about some other client. I'm not going to give you the name, but I work closely with a number of bankers. So primarily Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, one of the largest banks in the world. And so we have one client who has had some issues in the past, and the banker would watch his credit card and debit cards. And in one instance, he calls me at 11 o'clock at night, goes like, hey, I just blocked the card. If he calls you, don't answer the phone tonight. Call him in the morning. So because he looked at that, the gentleman was in the casino, and then so we saved him, and he called and thanked us the next day for because we had a pre-agreement that if we see certain things, we just cut it right there.
This is like just like out of the movies. You're living a movie star life. Wow.
I don't know about the movie star. Like, I mean, everybody sees the quick second with the Stanley Cup, right?
Yes.
But I'm up to here with everything else. And then I just show up for 2 seconds once a year when a client wins the Stanley Cup. So spoke to Evander, asked him who else he was talking to, and he basically said that he had spoken to another big agent, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sometime prior to that, but he wasn't looking at anybody, and he wanted to work with me. So every day we're on the phone 5, 6, 7 times. Obviously there is more work to be to do, but in the end, there were some people doubted that he would ever play in the National Hockey League, and because of all the other things. I mean, in the end, there were quite a few teams that were interested, and how do you say no when there's an opportunity for you to play with Connor McDavid and Leander Draisaitl? That was that was a fairly quick decision. Now there were a number of other teams that are going to be competing for the Stanley Cup. There were number of other situations where he would have been playing with the world's best players. But in the end, when Kenny Holland called me, it was basically he had to say hello. So
were the Leafs in the running? Could you talk about that?
I'd rather not discuss.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
We've had numerous teams interested in that, and so it worked out. Things are going well for Evander. Knock on my head, and I hope it's going to get better. And he's in very good spot, very good place, and and he enjoys playing in Edmonton.
You notice since Dan Milstein takes over and becomes his advocate, we don't hear about him in the news. We see him in the stat sheet every night. That's where he's at now.
That's the name of the game. I'm glad. I'm fortunate that I got an opportunity to work with Evander. He's a phenomenal guy. And look, everybody deserves a second chance. And I know that some people are saying, well, he did this and that, but that's all in the past. And now we have to look forward. And everybody deserves another a chance and opportunity. And I'm just fortunate that I'm the guy to be at front of it.
It's one of the things I love about sports. I've always been a big sports fan since a young age, playing and watching. And sports is fantasy. You get to live your fantasy. You get to live the dream of what you want to be. You get to be the person you dream to be. And it's a land of second chances, third chances, fourth chances. And whatever happened, you make up and you begin and you start a fresh page. And it's always nice to see. It's like you were talking about. It's, one thing to rise to the top, which people can do. It's another thing to go down. It's the people that can make it back up. Those are the ones that have the staying power. And because not a lot can make it back once they made it down. So we're all rooting for him, and you've done a great job for him so far. And it'd be great to see you and him holding the Stanley Cup possibly coming up.
If you know what, I realize that you got your viewership in Toronto more than in any other places, but and then of course I have clients on many teams, and yes, I can't publicly support one team or the next team, but yes, it would be awesome for me to be next to Evander when he wins his Stanley Cup, whenever the time comes, and I sure hope it happens soon. But yes, if you think about it, and I'll leave you with this: not very few guys, very few hockey players are born stars. Talent only gets you to the age of 18 at best, and then hard work. Pavel Datsyuk, nobody knew who Pavel was until he was 21, 22 years old. Nikita Kucherov won 58th overall in his draft year, and people still doubted, didn't think he was going to be a player. He gets to Quebec Ramparts, and famous Patrick Roy trades him. Because he didn't think that he was going to be as good as some of my other clients, if you will. And in the end, in the first round playoffs that year, Nikita Kucherov sends Patrick Roy with his Quebec Ramparts home single-handedly that year. You look at Nikita Zaitsev, 24 years old. That's when people the world found out about him. Artem Zub in Ottawa, when he was 24 years old, a year and a half ago, people were saying, first of all, there were only 2 NHL teams that were interested in him. Everybody doubted that he was going to be an NHL player. People were saying, why are you bringing him? Why he'll never play in NHL. I'm not so sure that, and I know for a fact, Ottawa didn't hold him in the same regard they held him after he played the first 10 NHL games finally. Mickey, and not the Mickey Mouse, but Ilya Mikheyev, Toronto's favorite person, or one of them. Yes. He was not called up to a national team when he was 23 years old. Nobody knew who Ilya was until 23 years old. And Jimmy Palafito, and then later Mike Babcock and Kyle Dubas found him. And then obviously we brought him to Toronto. He had virtually every team was interested in him. And so, but when he was 18, 19, 20, 21, nobody knew who he was. He didn't, his draft year, usually hockey players, if they think there's a slight chance, you're going to be sitting by the TV or by the phone waiting for something to happen. He didn't even know when the draft was happening because he was so far away removed from that. And then you have some other guys that are first overalls, 8th overalls, whatever the deal is, that get drafted and never play a game or play a few games and never make it. So draft is a great day to celebrate for the families, but it's hard work and everything else. And I have a lot of clients that don't make it just because talent doesn't. You gotta feed your talent with hard work, and so many different things must come together. It's crazy. People don't realize that. Talking about Bell Woodstock, and then obviously we get, it's one mental health day that everybody in Canada feels that they have to go and put the hashtag on the Twitter, and somehow it makes everybody feels good. No, guys, it's 365 days. Being an athlete is extremely difficult. I'll never forget Nikita Zaitsev's first year in Toronto. The cleaning lady would come in the morning after his game to talk about his game and tell him that she read in the paper that he's been traded, and she was wondering if her job was safe, and stuff like that too. I mean, guys, and then just do you enjoy reading trash about you in the papers? Now I get it, you make a lot of money to deal with it all, but athletes they're just normal people, and they're just like you and I.
Meeting athletes in all sorts of sports, people forget the numbers game part of it. I'm very big into baseball as well, and I'm talking to a BC baseball player, a teenager, and I tell him, for every one of you, do you know how many kids are playing in California and Texas right now? It's a numbers game. For that kid in Toronto playing in juniors, how many kids are in Russia coming for your spot as well? It's a global game. And so from a numbers game, you look at how many HL teams there are, how many roster spots there are, and think about how many players are all over the world. To make it's so finite. And to look at your roster of how many athletes entrust you, it's incredible. Now, somebody who's a hockey person messaged to me, I didn't realize Evander speaks Russian. So I think, when you were starting off, I think your language, your English is amazing. People wouldn't guess that you are bilingual or maybe even trilingual, but Russian speaking certainly helped the connection point. And you look at your roster, definitely a big Russian speaking community, but you're growing beyond that, right?
So Evander is actually officially legally changing his name to Kaneoff. All the jokes aside, look, you start, you gotta find a niche. And same thing in the mortgage industry. I was working with Europeans, and now emerging markets, as they're called, are less than half of 1% of the total Gold Stars business. Same thing in other industries, and same thing in hockey. I mean, Curtis Gabriel, basically Curtis Gabriel called me. He was referred to me by somebody in Canada, and he was basically done playing hockey. I mean, he already had the skates almost hung up. Somebody called him, and look, he's on a one-way contract now. He's playing in Chicago, and but in that particular case, Russian or not, he had one chance, and the chance was Dan Milstein. He called me. I knew who I can call, and we got him a deal, because nobody else at the time would have helped him to get an NHL deal. And I pride myself at work I do, whether it's Russian, Canadian, American, Swedish. At this point in time, Gold Star, I mean, we're a worldwide brand. I have well over 50 employees working throughout the world, primarily scouts, but we have quite a few assistants. Right now, somebody's helping somebody to schedule a restaurant dinner. One of my fellow co-workers is working on a birth certificate for a newborn child, and so on and so forth. So we are different. The reason people should use Gold Star, not because we're Russian, and believe me, in the next 5 years, when I do become the number one, we're gonna have more Canadians than we would have anybody else. And partly because of what do we do? Look, it's not about, you should not pay an agent a huge commission if he's gonna just show up once every 8 years to sign you to a contract. We're right there doing endorsements, global endorsements, not just the local tied to a Toronto or any specific market. That's number one. Number two, we do all the other things. We're with you 24/7. I'll give you an example. Nikita Kucherov goes to a Bauer facility. So I wasn't there. One of my assistants was there. And so the first guy comes in and goes like, "Hi, Nikita, I'm so-and-so. I'm the engineer. I make you sticks," gives him business card. The next guy comes in and goes like, "Well, I'm so-and-so. I make you skates." And so in the end, I was told that there were seven different business cards laying in front of him from different people. He basically does it this. He brushes them all to the side, just like with his hand, and goes like, I have one number. That's to my agent, Dan Milstein. If I need anything, I call him. He handles it all. I don't need anything else. And so you work for those moments. You work to hear, when your client wins a Stanley Cup, and what they say the first 5 minutes after winning the cup, when they hug you on the ice or immediately after ice or off ice, and or during the bubble, the coronavirus, when the first phone call, the video call they make from the ice, and things that they say, these are the moments you work for. You don't work for, I don't need a professional acknowledgement. I don't need to be number one. I work for those moments. I want the mom and the dad of the kid to call me because I've helped them to achieve their dream, their life dream, whether it's to win the cup, to play the NHL, bring back their careers, put them back on tracks, whatever that is that's what makes this job so special. This isn't about me running around. As a matter of fact, Jonathan, I don't own a business card. I don't need a business card. Everybody knows who I am.
Your business card is your face.
And so this isn't about me running around saying I'm the agent. Yes. People ask me, what do you want me to call you? When they do different TV shows and stuff like that. Yes. I mean, you can call me whatever you want to call me. It doesn't matter. It's not about the title. And it should never be about the title. Of course, back in the day, I wanted to be the vice president and the president and whatever the deal is. But to me now, I want my clients to win, to sign good contracts, to get married, have good lives, have a great relationship with their wives and their kids and their parents. And I want to be part of their family. And to me, it's by far more important than running around saying, "Oh, look at me! I just signed somebody to 11 point something million dollar contract and stuff like that too." That money is important. Don't get me wrong, and it's part of being an agent. But at the same time, it's about the feelings.
Your face, your name is your business card. People hear your name, they know what you're about. And what impresses me is in every sector of your life, you form a niche, but you're not satisfied with that niche. It grows, as far as writing books, as far as in the mortgage game, as far as in hockey. And in hockey specifically, coming back to it, it's growing beyond the Russian speaking players and being a global hockey presence. But that token, we can't be close our eyes and put our head in the sand as far as what's going on in the world today, unfortunately. And your roots comes from Russian speaking, from the Russia, Ukraine. I've seen on social media you discussing it. How has that hit home for you for what's happening now in the world? How does that hit your players, your clients, and what effect has it had on your agency based on what's going on in the world today?
First off, I want the world peace. My clients want the world peace as well. Nobody wants the war. Ukrainians and Russians have lived together for centuries, and I don't like what's happening in the world right now. But you should not be blaming the Russian hockey players in the National Hockey League for anything.
Thank you.
You know what breaks my heart, Jonathan, is that some fans were writing some of my clients after they won the Stanley Cup in direct messages saying, "So-and-so, I'm gonna, thank you very much for doing whatever it is that you do. I'm gonna name my kid after you." And then you go down, and then the next message, 6, 7 months, 2 years, whatever later, it says, "I want you dead. You're a blah blah blah, a very bad person." And so I get that the countries are divided. I don't support violence. My clients do not support violence, but you should not be taken out on little guys. Now, people say, well, some of the hockey players should be publicly speaking. Here's the thing. First of all, is it going to change much? But most importantly, you got to remember, those guys, they have families at home in Russia. And what would happen to their families? Would they get sentenced to 20 years and sent to Siberian camps? Would they get in trouble? And so it's a catch-22. And so sometimes, and here's another thing, there are a lot of people that are advocates online, the couch experts. They sit on the couch and they want everybody murdered, everybody dead, because they don't, because they're not supporting Ukraine, because somehow I don't have
we call them the trolls.
Just because somehow I don't have a Ukrainian flag in my background right now where a gold star is, right? Mm-hmm. Then I'm a bad person. Here's the thing. I don't want to donate money and go online and say, "Hey, by the way, I've donated $5, whatever the deal is." What I do is, and my clients do, we quietly support charities around the world. They're good people. We are contributing members of our society in the local communities here in North America and all over in Europe. And so don't automatically assume that if he's a Russian hockey player, he's a horrible person. That is not the case. We help. We just don't put it on a public display and don't talk about it for various reasons. One of them is that you might upset people in your own country if you did do something. And then number two, the little Johnny who sits on the couch and complains, he doesn't care about that part. I mean, but he's in the moment right now, right? This is the very same guy who posted, "Well, let's talk" on a mental health day, and on the very same guy who's destroying somebody else's mental health 5 minutes later.
I agree with you 1,000%, and that disgusts me. My first reaction when I think of a Russian player that's playing in the NHL is reaching out and saying, "We love you, we support you, we're sure you have family back home. You're in such a difficult time, and let's band together here. Let's not divide even further. We're here now. Whatever we are as far as nationality, our creed, our religion, our sexuality, there's no reason to divide. Let's all come together on it. And now we have this issue. It's in our face, and it's scary times for a lot of people losing homes, people getting killed. Let's support when we're here, and let's do more good." So I see you doing that on social media, and I commend you, sir, for that.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. I mean, look at it this way. I am more qualified to speak on this matter than Johnny the couch expert. My house in Ukraine that I grew up and lived for the first 16 years is being bombed right now. And yet I'm telling you, Johnny the couch expert, get off and back off from those Russian athletes. They're not the reason to complain and blame right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, coming to the future now and where we're at, looking forward to the NHL and where it's growing as a game. You have a direct pipeline. You're speaking from the player level to the coaches level to the owners to the front office. Where are you seeing this beautiful game headed as far as the NHL itself, expansion, relocation, the Olympics? What's your vision? If they brought you in and said, Dan Milstein, we need you, buddy. You know, you have the secret sauce and you have the understanding. We want to do the best for this game. What is your advice to the NHL and for the global game itself, how to grow it?
Well, last year we've seen a new team come in the marketplace, and so that obviously that brought some extra revenues. I'm not an expert, and I don't want to talk about whether I would relocate some of the existing teams in bad markets, and I'm not here to talk about whether 5,000 seat arena is the right arena. And I know that some fans would like to see a Houston, Hamilton, or in Canada, Quebec City. I'm not here. I'm not qualified to talk about the expansion teams. But I tell you, one thing I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more marketing. If you look at the basketball players at other sports, the players are faces of companies, and so marketing is definitely lacking in hockey. I mean, look, the soccer is already a fourth sport. We're becoming a fifth top professional sport in North America here. It is certainly concerning. We need to bring younger people into the business to adapt and change and bring the hockey awareness. Hockey is for everyone. There is no need to to display the hatred towards certain people. I mean, are you telling me that Nikita Kucherov, Andrei Vasilevskiy, and perhaps some of the other Russian superstars are bad for the game? I mean, ask yourself before sitting here and wishing that all Russians get deported back. Let's just assume that you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, right? And I know most of your listeners aren't, but let's just say for some, where do you think Tampa Bay Lightning would make the playoffs if those three Russians weren't on the team? And how many tickets are purchased, even perhaps in Toronto, because Nikita Kucherov is in town?
100%.
And so it's good for the sport. It's good for the people. And I understand you're going to give me an argument that innocent people are being killed right now. And like I said, my own home is being bombed right now. But with that said, this game is for everybody. And blaming a Russian hockey player only because he's from Russia, how is it not how is it that hockey's for everyone? I mean, you guys have put the same slogans out there, hockey's for everyone, and now you're telling me that hockey's for everyone but Russian people.
You know what? It's people that need their quote unquote cause, and like I said, Johnny expert on the couch, and this is the cause we're gonna start on, and we're gonna move on to the next one next month. And for those that love hockey and follow it for years, it's their game, their love. We've seen the game evolve. When I'm thinking as far as future, I agree with you. I don't like relocation whatsoever where we can avoid it because you have these fans, they're loyal. The economics of the game should not get in the way of the fans enjoying their sport. It'd be nice for the game to expand over time, more cities to enjoy the way the Seattle Kraken are right now. I think of the days when, we had high scoring games. There was a game recently between the Red Wings and the Leafs. I think it was 10-7 finished at, and we haven't seen one of those in a while. Since the Devils, brought in the more defensive game, and I don't know if it's ever evolved from there. Do you think that the sport's in a good place right now from a goal scoring perspective? Should they be encouraging more goal scoring, higher scoring games, or do you think it's in the right place right now?
Well, it depends who you ask. If you ask my clients that are forwards, of course they want more goals. If you ask my goalie clients or shutdown Ds, then So, but from the fan perspective, I mean, of course, would you want to spend $500 to go watch is 1-0 game? Probably not. But at the same time, I mean, look, we've had some high scoring games lately. I think we're in good spot right now. But what I'd like to see more is more of a marketing. Marketing needs to be at a different level. The fan entertainment needs to be at a different level. There's more work that needs to happen, and we need to do. And look, I mean, if the Maple Leafs arena was whatever the name, the ACC now, right? Or is this Nova Scotiabank now, right?
Bank from
I
ACC.
keep changing.
No,
I
it
keep
changes every day,
forgetting,
it seems.
the names,
Yes.
yeah. If that arena had 30,000 capacity, would 30,000 people show up to games? And even if you keep the ticket prices same, or even discount them by 10%. But there's more cars to be parked, there is more hot dogs to be purchased, more beers to be drank and stuff like that too. Is it going to help? I don't know. I mean, somebody needs to do. Funny thing is remember when some years ago we changed the intermissions from 15 minutes to one up to 18 minutes?
Right.
And so do you know why? Somebody did the study that it
Yes.
takes that if you have it at 17 or 16 or more minutes, chances of you to purchase 2 beers are greater than 1 beer. I guess they timed out how many minutes it takes to drink a beer before your mind basically says, Jonathan, go get another one and take it with you to the steps. And so one of the reasons I've heard, whether it's true or not, I've never asked for confirmation, but I've heard from a number of executives is because they could sell more beers in a time frame. And it's the right thing to do. So there's more that can happen. And I understand some of the rinks are impossible to rebuild, even like in Toronto. I don't even know. I mean, if you move elsewhere where there is no land in downtown, and moving the team to a suburbs or outside of the cities doesn't make any sense.
We've seen that with other cities as well. It's we're very spoiled here in Toronto because we have all this attention. Players, can't walk down the street without getting, seen, photographed, autographs. And that's one of the things, I guess, is a dual-edged sword, because you go play in another market, like in let's say, for example, San Jose, or you play in Tampa Bay, you can go to the shopping mall and chances are you get to live a life, which is nice to have kind of that freedom. On the other hand, it's also less marketing opportunities, right? And less growth in the game. And so certainly when you look at the excitement of the NHL, to me, it's like the NBA on skates, and we definitely want to see the growth of the game for certain. And the game has a lot of room to grow in our markets.
For sure. And it's funny. It's like Nikita Kucherov, Andrei Vasilevskiy. They go to International Plaza Mall in Tampa, which is the largest shopping mall. And then you see their banners everywhere. Yes. But yet they walk by them, but people don't recognize them. And then I'll never forget in 2014 Sochi Olympic Games, I signed Pavel Datsyuk to he was a face of Visa credit card at the time, and he had a credit card with his face on it. Yes. And then we were in Denver. And then we were at the Boss store, and then he pays for his purchases with the credit card that has his name on it.
Yes.
And then the guy looks at the card, looks at him, looks at the card, looks at him, goes like, "Can I see your driver's license?" So so we can do more, we can do better for sure. But overall, the hockey is in good spot, and we just need, like I said, we need to get the revenues up. Yes. Let's try to go for 6 to 10 billion, yes. And then we'll take it from there.
And Dan, we're on our last topic. Again, appreciate you very much coming on the show. I know your time is very precious, so it took us a little bit of time to get together, because I know your phone is going off. You're answering. It's a 24/7 job.
I'll send you a bill for everything I've missed in the last hour.
Perfect. Please do that.
You can't afford it, but go ahead.
You know what? We'll just have to put some overtime into it. But the last question I think is very key, and haven't seen you say it yet, but I've thought about you, Dan. And it's funny because I've mentioned in other episodes that when I get associated with somebody as a professional, I love to watch them grow. I take a vested interest in them. I read you all the time, social media, and then through my my e-reader, it knows your name, so it pops up all the time. So when something's happening with you, the world is telling me, and I'm thinking ahead because there's such a spectrum of sports, and the way you've grown your agency in the hockey world, I think to myself all the time, I try to think 5 steps ahead, and I know you're already 10 steps ahead, but where is this man going? Dan Milstein, if he had to predict 5-10 years, is it going to be sports agency across all sports? Is it sports and entertainers? Is it future sports owner? Are you going to get into management at some point? I've seen a lot of agents, that eventually take over GM jobs. We've seen that in baseball. We've seen that, in basketball with the Lakers. What is the future of Dan Milstein in this world?
Success is never owned. It is rented, and the rent is due every day. To be honest with you, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. At this point in time, I'm enjoying what I do. I absolutely enjoy helping others achieve their American dream, whether it's my employees and or my clients. And so for the time being, I'm enjoying my life and I'm doing all the right things. But do you want to be the general manager? I'm not sure I can afford the pay cut. But all the jokes aside, the time will tell. For now, I'm just I love everything. I love every single moment of everything that I do. And so to me, it is the most important thing is waking up in the morning, knowing that I did right by my clients and by my fellow coworkers.
My friend, that is a great politician answer. And I expect one day when it's all said and done, I think in Ann Arbor, we're going to see a statue in your honor because of what you've meant for the community, what you've meant across spectrums. Do you think ultimately, if you got that phone call, we want to see you one day as senator, we want to see you into politics, or a team owner calls you and says, I got to talk to you. I want you to be president of operations of my team. Are you taking those phone calls?
I have been offered an opportunity to own an NHL club at some point a few years back.
Yes.
At this point in time, I'm not looking to be a politician. I would be a horrible politician because I speak my mind, and that sometimes it's not the most popular thing. You know, we don't know what the future holds, but for the time being, I am absolutely enjoying what I do. But at the same time, you have to be opportunistic. When the phone rings, and as long as my clients are in the bestest possible spot in their lives and stuff like that too, then for sure I would seriously consider it.
We love that. And Dan, we're going to put your handles on this interview so people can reach out to you and follow your progress. Fifth book is coming out. Do we have an expected launch date?
No, but soon, hopefully very soon.
We'll keep our eyes and ears open, and you're constantly news and done great things with Evander and bringing him on. And with all your clients, they're very lucky to have you. The sport of hockey is lucky to have you. The business world is lucky to have you. You're a great asset to this world and a true treasure and a rare find. Dan Milstein, thank you very much for joining us today on the Chosen Life podcast. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, building our friendship, and looking forward to the future direction of your global organization.
Thank you very much for having me on, Jonathan. Have a great day. All the best, and hopefully I'll be in Toronto for the finals. And hopefully Toronto goes all the way. If not this year, then next year to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, we'd love that. And then an open invitation. So when you are in Toronto, we'd love to get you into our recording studio and do this one-on-one and follow up and seeing where things are at in the world, where things are at in life. So we'd love to see you again. And we always do our sign off. If you don't mind to bring your arm like this. And we say, keep living the chosen life.
Keep living the chosen life.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you. See you.
Wait a minute. Are we still running? Well, I know you already hit the subscribe button, the like button to say how much you love this episode, and the notification bell so you get notified of all our future episodes. But you still feel like you want more. Well, when you're ready to contact the chosen lawyers at Kormans LLP, we are here to help you. Whether you're looking to close a real estate transaction, a refinance, a corporate commercial matter like a lease, a shareholder agreement, an incorporation, you need a will or power of attorney prepared, a family law matter comes up, contact the chosen lawyers. We are here for you. So how do you get in touch with us? It's really simple. You go onto our website, go to kormans.ca, that's KORMANS.ca, fill out the contact form, and a chosen lawyer will get in touch with you. So it's very easy. We look forward to seeing you very soon. And thank you very much for watching The Chosen Life. We'll see you back very shortly.